All right, everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming, putting in the extra time to learn even a little bit more about SMU School of Information Systems. So I think leave to the folks back there, maybe leave the doors open a little bit, right? And then, as is always the thing, you get people coming in, streaming in. Okay, I'm Steve Miller. I'm one of the faculty. I'm also the founding dean of the school, and I'm going to be your facilitator. It's really not about me giving too much of a talk today. I'm going to give a little one, but it's to get our guests engaged. And actually, it will be easier for you folks to sit there while I do a few introductory things. That will sort of eliminate the strains in your neck. And then after I do that, I'm going to call up, we have 2 people from industry, and then 2 people who just finished year 4, and they're going to share with you in a way that we think will be both interesting, fun, and relevant. Okay? So with that, just a little bit of introduction. Peng Kim is from DBS Bank, and he's been at DBS, I think, about 5 years, 7 years now, 7 years. He'll tell you about his background. He and I have done things in the industry together over the years, and he's hired our students, and he's involved in an industry and fantastically interesting transformation. Andy Choi was one of our graduates from the year 2009. Went through the National Infocomm Scholarship, SMU SIS Bachelor's, Carnegie Mellon Master's, and then worked at StarHub for 5 years. He's now at a startup, so he'll talk to you. Tae Kai Wen is just finished, and he's been involved in both student activities, student association, cybersecurity stuff, and then Janelle, who also just finished. And they'll talk to you about what their learning experience has been, and also what their interviewing experience has been, and then why they sort of had a sense personally why they think they were able to do well in their interviews, and what it prepared them for. Right? So everybody will share with you their sense of what's going on in the world now. Right? I asked them, this is not meant to be an advertisement for SIS, the School of Information Systems, but they're 4 interesting people at different stages of life and different types of experience sets, and we wanted them to share their views of what they're doing and what they think is going on in the world. And I think through conversation, we'll link that to the relevance of what we do in our program and how we prepare you. All right? Some of you have seen this before. It's a point about how do you really think about SMU? We're now in generation 3 of the SMU model. Right? Generation 3 of the SMU model. So what was generation 1 of the SMU model? Well, it's just a business school. All right? Literally, when it started, SMU was literally just a business school. And then, of course, accounting, economics, information systems, social science, law, now it's 6 schools, okay? What was generation 2 of, okay, let me tell you what SMU is. Well, it's not just a business school, it's a university. It's a real university. It's not just a business school, but it's a niche university focused on the world of business and management. All right? And I know that slogan because I'm the one who created it, and then it sort of got morphed and got put on the water bottles, that you see. All right? That slogan is now outdated. That generation 2 of what is SMU is an outdated mental model. All right? So somebody says, well, what's SMU? Here's the updated thing. SMU is about management, social science, and technology. Now, by technology, we mean computing. We mean IT. We mean Infocomm. And we do management, that we have a few schools in the management space. We have a bunch of things in the social science space shown over on the right. And Indeed, we are for real. We are strong. We do computer science. We do information technology. We do information systems. The students who just finished year 4 will testify we do not underwhelm you in these things, right? But the really special thing is we embrace the fact that we're SMU, and we do computing, and we do information technology and information systems focused around the phenomena of management and social, the data of management and social, the context of management and social. So if you want to do really strong, deep computing, IT, IS, but in a milieu that emphasizes scenarios, use cases, context of the management and social, we're a world leader in how to do that. And we have, I would say, right up there amongst the world's very strongest undergraduate programs at how you do that. All right? That's generation 3 of the SMU model. Management, social science, and computing, basically. By technology, we mean computing. You know, and then SMU has become a national player and an international player. You might not realize this. A national player and an international player in analytics for business, consumer, and social insights. We, without overstating, we really are famous for that, okay? We don't build buildings, you know, we don't build high-rises, we don't dig tunnels, but we do a lot of work from management, social, and computing related to urban management, well aligned with Singapore's next 5-year plan. We do a lot of things in aging and healthcare management. Again, we don't run a medical school, we don't run hospitals, but we do a lot of joint projects with Aging in Place, both on the Infocomm side as well as the management and the social science side. Obviously, we do work in finance and financial markets, you know, that sort of goes without saying in SMU. And across the entire culture of the university, this notion of innovation and entrepreneurship. And it's so important for the well-being of Singapore. Not every single student is going to go be an entrepreneur and do their own startup, obviously, and the already existing startups, the mid-sized companies, the large local companies, the multinationals, they're clamoring for the students, and those are great job opportunities. But every student does need to learn on how to be entrepreneurial. Because even if you go work for DBS Bank, even if you go work for some giant global multinational, like one that Janelle will talk about, or a medium-sized firm or a startup, you have to be entrepreneuring about how you get things done where there's no obvious roadmap for how to go forward, right? And SMU is doing a good job of infusing that into the entire thing. I'm not going to say anything about the details here. You need to remember one thing. You say, hey, are you guys like really solid in IT research and computer research? We've brought in over $100 million in national R&D funds, all just within the School of Information Systems. Let me repeat that. Just within the School of Information Systems to do Smart Nation projects, Aging in Place projects, analytics projects, urban systems and management projects. You don't care about these details, but these are the icons of the labs that we have that do this kind of stuff. So, big-time player. And over the next 2 or 3 years, we'll bring in another probably 30 to 50 million. And why do you care about that as potential freshmen? And why do you care about that as parents? Because you get to work in these things. You get to do an internship in these things. You get to do projects in these things. And they're windows to the future. And we work with industry in big-time ways. And you might do a spin-off or something based on things that go on these kinds of things. So it isn't just the course, it isn't just, you know, the modules you take, it's the entire ecosystem that you come into. And SIS is a big-time ecosystem, very well-funded on the research R&D in very relevant areas going forward. Right? You might not think about that, but that is the SMU of today. We're fortunate. Our sales department has now become the national government. So this is the Minister of Communication and Information. Quite recently, I don't have a date on this, but this is really within the last few weeks. And they're going on, you see the sort of little word cloud there, we are starving for professionals in these areas. We need people in these areas, right? Every year, we, the economy of Singapore, not even the regional countries, we, the economy of Singapore, we need 6,000 new Infocomm students to join the sector after their graduation. Right? Now, joining the sector could be you join a bank, you join a travel firm, you join an analytics firm. You know, it doesn't mean you join an Infocomm company per se, but you're joining the people who have to use Infocomm to make a business work, make an economy work, as well as companies who are in the Infocomm service thing. All right? So these are good times. There's all kinds of stuff. The way you read this funny little picture is the Ministry of Education is trying to get more and more students exposed to computational thinking. Well, we've been teaching that now quite successfully for 4 or 5 years, and we do a good job, and we're part of that outreach to the JCs and the pre-university on computational thinking. There's a series of scholarships and enhanced preparation things before students graduate for college. And when you come into SIS, we're quite close with the human capital development people, the manpower development people and IDA, and they always come to us to help sort of get these programs kicked off and going, because we move fast and we're very responsive and we work in clever ways. And then after you get through the university, there's a whole bunch of skill development things, obviously not just for the IT sector, but Singapore's really strengthened those in particular for the IT sector, all right? So let's just say it's a good time. It's a good time, all right? Someone pointed this out to me, that our Deputy Prime Minister recently made a comment that at least in the public sector, they're upping the salaries for ICT professionals to $4,000 a month plus. Not bad. That's a pretty clear statement that we think this is important. So Peng Kim's sitting there and says, oh no, it makes us drive up our salaries. What are they doing? But it's nice to be in an area where people are competing for talent, all right? So what do I got here? All right, now, for some of you who have been to some of our sessions and part of the open house, all the proper things about our curriculum are on the web. And if you go look on the web, everything is laid out like it should be, and everything's in nice little building blocks. I think I have a picture of that a little bit later. I'm not going into the details of that here. Go study it on your own, right? Because you need to go pick it up. Even the parents, if you're interested, go look at there's more information on the web than you'll assimilate. There's a lot there, all right? But let me give you sort of the essence of what our world is about without going course by course and that kind of stuff. So yes, we're SMU. And yes, SMU really is strong in management and social and the whole person and the holistic education, all this stuff that you already know, because that's why you applied to SMU in the first place, okay? So all that stuff we inherit being a part of SMU. So what is the School of Information Systems? We're about innovative software applications. We really are. That's what we do. We're about innovative software applications. And I'm not going to go item by item, but we take those little bullet points, and in the back of the stage you might not be able to read, but cybersecurity, smart machines, that's the AI, the cognitive computing, Internet of Things, analytics, that includes social media, but all kinds of analytics, everything mobile, cloud, web. And how do you put those things together? Not just this slick front-looking interface, but front, middle, back, into innovative software applications. And how do we get the students to learn about doing that, where the style of learning and the culture of learning is probably as important or more important than the actual details of what you're learning? And our Year 4 students will say something about that. So, what makes it an SMU approach? to doing innovative software applications? You know, you can. You got great choices. You're spoiled for choice. You can go to NTU, or you can go to NUS. You can go to SIT. You can go to SUTD, right? And I have to say, Singapore's got really, really good university programs in the Infocomm area across the whole island. It's something nationally we should be very proud of, all right? So how do we do it in a very special SMU way? Because we do it in context. Some of the students have heard me say this. We do it in context. And Peng Kim, this might be a theme that you help people understand, because you haven't heard me explain this, but you know, from where you come from, I think you'll get it as soon as I say it. So what do I mean we do it in context? We don't teach you how to build computers. We don't teach you about the hardware of computers, right? None. So what we do is we focus on how do we do innovative software applications, but do it with a deep understanding of users and the experience of users. Users are people. Users are human beings. So you have to understand what people want. Now the irony is, people usually don't know what they want, even when you go ask them, even when they've been doing a job every day, and you say, what do you really need for your information system? Well, part of what they tell you is what they want, but they don't really know what they want. No one knew they needed an iPhone before there was an iPhone. You know what I mean? No one knew they needed a web before there was a web. So knowing what people want means a very deep engagement and iteration and learning process, to some extent a psychotherapy process. So it's an interesting way. It's very people intensive, right? What is it that we really need to make this thing work better? All right? You have to understand social aspects of interaction. You have to understand collaboration. You have to have a flair for what's great experience. That's one type of context. But there's another type of context. Things happen in what are called domains, business verticals. The domains sort of have knowledge, they have structure, they have processes, they have costs, benefits, economic considerations. You've got to integrate the business needs with the technology. You've got to bring together the people, the project, the change management, or else nothing happens, right? So when we do the deep computing, we are deeply, simultaneously situated in the context of users and experience and the context of business domains and verticals. And that's why SMU can do a type of computer science and a type of information systems where we really are exceptionally well suited to do that. And our environment just offers a very strong environment for that. And the people who've just finished can comment. I say business domains and verticals. The kids choose a lot of their own examples, you know what I mean? And they sort of take it the way they want to take it. But if you want to do this and learn something about healthcare and aging, if you want to do this and learn something about financial services and fintech, or retail, or Infocomm and internet, or public sector and smart nation, you'll get that in your classes. Different classes will have different examples, and you'll have a lot of freedom in the kind of examples you choose, and what you do for your internship, and what you do on your projects, and what you do on your sort of discretionary projects where you get the point in whatever direction you want to go into. So that's why you learn about these things in depth when you build the sort of software systems, okay? We do it in context. And, without sounding like an advertisement, our students really do create stuff. They create stuff, not just PowerPoint. They create real systems that really do change the way how people live and work and play and learn, right? And students get pretty excited about that. Some of them do startups. Some of them go work for large companies, right? So that's sort of the cool part. So in one slide, that's what we're about. We're about innovative software applications in context. What do I mean by in context? In the context of users and experience, in the context of business domains and verticals. All right? I think that's it. We're going to take a little break here. Let me call up our guest. Please, everybody come on up. have Janelle, we have Peng Kim, okay, Kai Wen. Peng Kim, I'm going to ask you to start. You sort of have a little bit more experience than some of these other folks. I kid him, even though he looks like he's only 29 years old, you know. Share what you do. Share what you do and share just some of your unrehearsed, unscripted reactions to what I just said.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm from DBS. My current role is to provide technology support to the corporate banking, or we call it institutional banking, right? So I've been there for 7 years. Previously, I was in Citibank for about 15 years, right? I haven't talked to Steve about what he's going to. I didn't know what he's going to talk about today, right? In the introduction, looking back in my career, right? For all this while, is that on the technology front, although the software have changed, right? I started off doing assembly language, Pascal, COBOL, and these days these tools are no longer taught in the universities or hardly used in the industry. So these days people talk about Java, people talk about Hadoop, Hive, our language, and so on. But the fundamental of architecture underlying those languages, underlying those databases or those tools or those machines, right, are still very much the same. The underlying engineering, the architecture, and if you have a very good understanding, when you first start your career or in your schools and first start your career, it actually will bring you a long way as you go. Right? That's one thing I've always learned, and I always tell my staff, right, that it's very important to entrench into that kind of thing. The other aspect is on the context of business. I just heard about that. I quite this way. I always tell my staff and myself that when you get into a job, right, in my context is banking, the job is actually like a two tracks of a railway track, right? The two tracks. One is your technology domain, and the other is your business domain. Because when you get onto the job, when you get into the role of building applications for the bank to use, right, or the customers to use, right, it is not just the technology, but it's also the domain part of it. What is it used for? So it's a two-way track. It's a two-track kind of thing. A train cannot run without the two tracks. So it's very important. Like Bobby, as I was sharing with Steve just now, that in my career in Citi and in my earlier days in DBS, we always look at the other banks, the global banks, or the local banks, and say, who are our competitors? Who do we want to benchmark with? Who do we aspire to be, right? So I remember when I joined DBS, we said, okay, we, as a local bank, a regional bank, we want to target to be like JP Morgan, right? Or to be like Citi or HSBC. More so in the last 3-4 years, we start to make a shift and say, what we want to benchmark with is not the banks anymore. What we want to benchmark with are the GAFAs. What is GAFA, right? GAFA. The Googles, the Apples, the Facebook, the Alibabas, those type of companies out there. So banks, it's probably not just banks, right? A lot of other industries, even in the car industries.
Amazon would be in there too. We stick it in extra.
Even in the hotel industries, right, are shifting from looking at their own competitors in the industry into looking at other industries, kind of thing. So and it's becoming important as you go. So in the business context, it's no longer just look at your banking context in my industry, but it's looking at in the context of how others are actually shifting into into each other's industry, right? Providing service, and the lines are very gray, and you got to learn to understand that and pick this up. Besides just the technology part of it, kind of thing. So when you talk about the GAFA companies, right? It's inevitable as a bank that we start to learn that, hey, you just don't automate applications, systems for your staff to use, or the banking tellers to use, or your customers to use, you got to understand the personas, right? So I was looking just now at the management, the technology, and the social science, how relevant actually it becomes in any industry that you work in or you're going to work in, right? That the social aspects of it. So as a bank, we started in the last few years to work on what we call customer journey, to try to understand the personas of a CFO, a CEO, down to a factory operation manager. How would they run their business or their day-to-day job, and therefore how a bank fits into that, the different personas in the companies, and even in the same industry, let's say healthcare or automotives, right, is that you have the large corporates like the multinationals down to the small, medium enterprise, they behave differently. And you need to understand the personas in the context of how they operate, right, to be able to make banking relevant to them in my context, right? Okay. So just an introduction.
All right, so that picture we had, and Peng Kim hadn't seen this before, that we're saying SMU 3.0. SMU is Management, Social Science, and Computing. And what distinguishes our computing is that we do it in a deep technology way with a software focus, but we embrace the phenomena and the background of management and social. You're saying that resonates with you?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, all right, well, it's nice to know. Good to know, all right? All right.
Not rehearsed. Yeah.
Now, another observation is you saying, here we are, DBS is a pretty powerful organization and sort of right up there at the top of the Singapore, food chain. And you're looking at the Googles, the Apples, the Amazons, the Facebooks, the Alibabas. Interesting to note, those are all Infocomm-related service companies, right? And the whole world is looking at them because they're such interesting engines of innovation that are shaking up a lot of things. So it seems to me, a little bit sort of self-serving, admittedly, but it seems to me having a background where one can easily understand what those folks are doing can only help. And not only help to work in the Infocomm business, but to help work, as you say, almost in any kind of business these days. Okay. Any other closing comment for the moment? All right. Andy, you've been out there. You graduated in 2009. Give a little bit of your background and your journey and what you're doing these days.
Sure. Thanks. Hello. Thanks, Steve. Good afternoon. 6 plus 7 years ago, I left this place. And I actually didn't graduate here only. I've also spent a couple of years in CMU, Carnegie Mellon University, in the States. I was part of this fortunate program where some of us spent a few years in SMU, get our bachelor's, and then spent a couple of years getting our master's as well. So it's
that program still exists. Yes. The National Infocomm Scholarship still exists. You can come in. You can still do that with us. We were the first flagship program of that type in the nation. About 50-some students have gone through, and it keeps going.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, so I was one of the very fortunate ones. Had a great experience in both sides, and I jumped into SMU without touching any computer programming. Right? I was from the JC. And how many of you here are from JC? Actually, JC kids, fewer nowadays, I guess, but back then it was like 50-50 almost.
Yeah, there's actually more. There's a number of JC kids in our big applicant pool this year. And you were not only JC, but if I remember, you were Arts and Humanities JC.
Yeah. I did theater studies. I was one of those weird guys on the stage with makeup. So, no, I didn't touch computers. But why am I saying all this is because something Steve talked about many years ago came true in my working life. Steve said that business people would only understand business, and IT people, great depth in IT, and there's this huge gap of people in between who can translate what each of them are talking about. It's almost like apples and Ferraris, right? And you need someone who can turn apple juice into fuel for the Ferrari, someone like that. And that's what all of us went through. I particularly became something like that when I worked in StarHub for 5 years. I was never in the technology role. I never picked up a computer, worked on a console and programmed your cell tower for your mobile phones. I never did that. I was always in the product development departments in StarHub. I was working on new services to launch. Some of you might remember a few years ago, you could start paying with your phones. That was before Apple Pay. That was using a SIM card, put into your Samsung or your Sony phone, and you could actually use your EasyLink or DBS payment card and tap it at different 7-Elevens and so on. And I was the key driver in StarHub for that. I saw a need, I saw technology, and I pulled together industry to try and make it work. Lessons learned from that is sometimes the environment and the economics of it doesn't always make sense, but hey, you have to try, right? So back then we were a bit too early, but now you see Apple Pay, Samsung Pay is taking over the world. And as an SMU student, I learned that you have to keep looking at business needs, keep looking at what technology brings, and try to match it together. And the next thing that I did very proudly, StarHub was one of the first to launch a over-the-top TV service. So you all can now watch your TV on your phones and your computers. There's Netflix, but in StarHub we have this thing called StarHub Go. So before we called it StarHub Go, I named it StarHub TV Anywhere. So that was my project as well. We launched it when you remember those days where people complain, Singtel got the rights to EPL, StarHub don't have, what's going to happen to my bills? Am I subscribing both sides? So that was the first time where StarHub got exclusive rights to content, Euro 2012. Terrible, terrible Euro because every match played at midnight and 3 a.m. Who watches at midnight and 3 a.m., right? Everyone will wake up at 6 or 7 and check score or check replay. And I was a poor chap who was told, hey, we've got this program. Can you make it work on computer so that when the father is watching middle of the night, it won't wake up the whole family? So I had to make sure we got a whole online platform running, connect different pieces together, got a browser version of it going so that our subscribers could watch the live matches on their computer. That was 2012. Since then, moved on from StarHub, and I'm now running sales, regional sales for a small software company. And why did I go to sales? Because there's no better proof of how well you innovate and add value to your customers than to talk to them and ask them what their business problems are, and then you find a solution based on what your company can provide and give true value to your customers. So that's how, from school to innovating on products to now delivering to my customers.
If I were to just sort of make an observation on the story you just told, Andy, so you went through SIS, right? Got this thing, experience, hands-on, innovative software applications, and had to do all that in school. You made a choice to go to the business side right from the outset, but that special part of the business side, which is doing technology-based services to customers.
Yep, exactly.
And you're always on the interface of how do I put together new kinds of technology-based services, because I'm the person right out there on the front line dealing with the customers and their needs.
Exactly.
All right, so there's different ways in which our students work that interface of business and IT, and you're one type of example.
Yeah, weird one maybe, but one type.
Great example. That's why we had you come back. Yeah, okay. Kai Wen, you're just finished up, year 4.
Yep.
All right. Have you been interviewing with companies? What types of companies were you interviewing with? How did that go?
Actually, I'm starting my full-time career in cybersecurity with BNP Paribas this Monday. So I'll be officially starting with them. It's a French bank. So besides that, I've actually done a few interviews with the different banks as well, mostly banks. And for internships, I've done with a Visa as well as IDA. Yeah.
So why do you think these different sort of substantial and powerful organizations were interested in you as a graduating SIS student? What's your own take on, so why are they interviewing me? Why would they like to hire me?
I think one of the key advantage that I got from SMU was the information security knowledge, because a lot of companies nowadays, they actually need a lot of information security professionals. And this information security is actually quite niche. Some of the schools don't offer a lot of it, but at least for SMU, I was very fortunate that they actually offered a second major in information security assurance, which I took up. And when the boss interviewed me, from BMP interviewed me, they realized that I have a lot of interest and knowledge for information security, which is why they actually offered me a cybersecurity career, which is pretty rare for fresh undergrad.
Yeah. You might talk about some of the things you did as an SMU SIS student that were even beyond the curriculum, outside of the formal courses, that help you build your understanding and your network in the cyber area.
For myself, I've attended a lot of cybersecurity forums and even also give talks. I think my most recent talk was to go to Temasek Holdings to talk to all the CEOs from Singtel, the different subsidiary companies under Temasek Holdings. So it was a very good exposure. I got to share with them my security knowledge as well as learn from them as well. And all this exposure that I get, right, reflects my passion in cybersecurity. Yeah.
White hats, did you have a little bit involvement? You might say something about that as an example of a student.
For myself, in my first 2-3 years in SMU, I was involved in this society called White Hat Society. So it's a society that actually organizes a lot of cybersecurity related activities, workshops, hands-on, or we even invite people from the industry to come and give talks on cybersecurity related topics. So from there, I also gain a lot of exposure, know some of the professionals that are working in the industry as well, and get some context from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, at one level, you sort of have a core of your work that's sort of quite geeky and quite technical, but you did some work with our student societies, and you've got sort of other aspects of your life over your 4 years here too. So sort of talk about the non-IT stuff that you did.
So for myself, I was quite interested in community service and leadership experience. So for my first year, I actually went overseas to Indonesia to actually teach the student English as well. I mean, the students in the village English, and organize some activities for them, share with them the culture of Singapore. So this is one of the volunteer kind of service that I did. For leadership experience, actually took up the position of president for the Information Systems Society. So I took care of the welfare of over 1,000 over students, organized events for them. In fact, I think I've organized no less than 30 events, including networking sessions, including academic briefing sessions, and all those welfare events as well. So there's a lot of exposure in terms of the leadership and management side. Yeah.
Peng Kim, as a person like yourself who is part of an organization that has a lot of employees, hires a lot of employees, you guys have a fairly refined eye as to what you're looking for. When you find people who have this kind of technical depth, but they have a lot of experience with interacting with people, doing things with people, how do you guys respond to that?
We definitely, would. Yeah, because as I said, the industry becomes very, very diverse, and as a bank, we don't just, hire accountants, biz ads, or even like, IS kind of graduates. We are looking more and more into like, data scientists, people who understand communication. So even in my unit where we do IT, I'm hiring people who have a good understanding of marketing, right? Who have done some work in, communication. Why? Because it's very important, because we bring a different skill set, all right, to actually enhance the team's ability to deliver what we need to deliver.
Right. And that's why sort of SMU can do a really strong job in the approach that we take to computing and information systems. Janelle, why don't you help people understand who you are and what you've been going through lately?
Okay, hi, I'm Janelle. So I'm a year 4 student from SIS, which means I'm graduating as well, like Kaiwan here. So after all the exams and school, I'm just waiting for my work to start in July. So I've been going for interviews for the past few months, and I'm fortunate enough to land myself 2 offers. So one of them is BNP Paribas, in their tech and operations, and the other one is Merck, also known as MSD outside of US. So I would like to share a little bit about what I feel that I did well to be able to get these offers from these companies. And so firstly, I would think that SMU trained us pretty well in terms of presenting ourselves. Okay, so we gain a lot of experience in doing presentations along the years, right? And also polishing ourselves up to handle like professional situations as well, because we have this thing called finishing touch. Yeah, that all students from SMU has to attend. So it really polishes up as well. Everything, the way you communicate with people, your presentation skills, the way you look. Yeah, so everything we have to go through all of that. Yeah, to be able to actually really communicate with people outside and also present ourselves really well. And then I also think that good learning attitude is something that most companies are looking for. So if they can see these two aspects in you, and I don't think it's a I think it will be quite smooth when you are graduating and you are looking for a job. Yeah, so maybe I can share a little bit about my experience in SIS. So I honestly really enjoyed my time 4 years here in SIS, and I think it was incredibly worth it. So firstly, I guess the learning experience is something really valuable. I'm a totally different person from where I was 4 years ago, I would say. I've grown up a lot, I've learned a lot in terms of personal development, relationships with people, communication, and goals in future as well. I came in with an interest in tech, but not really knowing what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. But now I do. And I think SIS gave me a lot of exposure in different areas in tech as well, and also other aspects of management and businesses, because if you guys know, we also have compulsory courses across SMU-wide, like business courses, economics, and things like that. So, another thing in SIS is that we are always in teams. So along the way, we get to work with people we know, or rather people that we are less comfortable with, or we don't, or strangers. But at the end of the day, you don't know, you might actually form really valuable like working relationships or friendships along the way. Yeah, this is how I met Kaiwan also. So it's incredible, and I really enjoy working in teams. I always believe that more hits are better than just one. And people working with you do improve you as a person as well. Yeah, they share their knowledge, and this whole sharing spirit, I think, is quite important. Yeah, and in SIS we share a lot. We don't only share ideas, we also share learning materials, we share knowledge, we talk to people in SIS a lot, in fact. And people here are, students here like me, we are all very amiable. Yeah, very easy to talk to. And the profs here are incredible as well, I have to say that. I love my profs, and I would also like to thank them for what I am today. They are very good profs. They are very passionate about what they are teaching, and they really care for students like me and us. Yeah, so I think that's about it.
So in summary, without trying to see if this synthesis makes sense to you, is SIS a challenging program? Yes, we're proud that it's a challenging program. We don't shy away from that. We want everybody to know. Is there a lot of work to do outside of the actual 3 hours a week per class? Yep, we sort of have gigantic assignments that people have to do, so we're sort of famous for that. But two things are true. One is students like yourself still have a lot of outside activities and a rich life. And two, you're saying that the environment is incredibly supportive. Right. That students who are working hard and working at it, when they need help and go to their peers help them. So you're saying it's a very collaborative and supportive environment.
Yes.
All right? And is that, it's sort of collaborative and supportive because it's like that everywhere in SMU, or there's something quite distinctive about SIS, about that culture of collaboration? Why don't you both comment on that?
I think the collaboration spirit actually comes from my seniors, because when I first, even before I stepped at the SMU, I think one of the the instructors actually introduced me to some of the seniors, and then they actually took time to add me on Facebook, talk to me, so I could ask them any questions at any time of the day, and then I thought it was awesome, because it's really hard to find maybe a instructor or professor that would actually spend time to talk to you as well as the seniors. So from there I knew that when I came to SMU I needed to do the same thing, help my juniors as well. So after that I realized that there was a lot of people that may be struggling with some modules. So for myself, some of the modules that I do a bit better at, I tend to provide some extra help by organizing extra classes, some review sessions before exams. So these are all organized on my own without any professor's help. So I do this on my own time to help my peers. So I think from this, the spirit actually carries on.
And these are particular to the SIS community.
SIS community, yes.
Yeah. And Janelle, what's your sense about that?
I would think that I agree with him a lot. So I've also attended classes or courses that he held. I think collaborative, one of the reasons why we are more collaborative is also that we spend more hours and more time doing projects in SIS, definitely, because tech projects naturally take a little bit more time. Yeah, so I would say that the learning spirit and all this effort, and with all of us having the same end goal, we are able to work well with each other, and then also that's how we actually develop the collaborative spirit, I think, spending time with your peers and doing projects together to achieve the same end goal. Yeah.
So you might not think about it, it's a little bit counterintuitive, but interestingly enough, the SIS students spend a lot of time together with other people in the project teams, and it's the depth and complexity of these tech projects that actually get the SIS students to build very strong people skills, because you have to work together very closely with people. The expression is, you cannot PowerPoint your way out of it. Yeah. Andy, it's been a bunch of years. You don't remember any of the particular courses you took, and the curriculum has changed. It's actually a lot stronger and harder than, sort of what you got in. So a lot has evolved, but what are some of the spirit-like things that you find out saying, well, this sort of helped develop me as a person, and even though I might not remember the detail of what I did year 3 on my first semester, these are the things in your own mind you attribute to yourself going through that SIS and Join SMU, CMU Fast Track.
The most important skill that I learned in SMU, beyond adaptability, beyond able to work with teams, is to learn on the go, is to pick up whatever it is that you need to get things done. Textbooks, back when we were trying to develop probably a new program for a project, right, script, there were no textbooks that gave you every answer. It's not a formula that you can put in Excel and boom, it comes out. Where do we go and find out? We go online, go to Stack Overflow, go to wherever site you can, read what people commented on how to make this code work, how to debug something. Right? It was all about going out there finding answers. And in the first few years in StarHub, I was working on projects that no one had a blueprint for. A contactless payment, they're like, oh, this was tried before, but no one in the company knows about it anymore. So I had to go out there and find out, okay, what was done, what's the industry standards, how does the technology work, what's the difference between RFID and NFC, learn on the go, right? And because we dare to learn on the go, I think we're also more bold to take on challenges. I think I hear what Kaiwan was saying about talking to security professionals, right? Creating his own work group, right? White hat, and engaging the community. That's something that you take bonus. You take confidence in your ability to learn, and a bonus to engage people, to ask them the right questions, to learn from them, that you grow and you establish yourself. And that's something that I think a lot of my peers from my cohort, and even before that and after that, they have proven themselves to have the same mold, the same ability to beat the odds, right, in whichever company they are in. So many notable friends of mine are in senior or middle senior positions in different companies now. I can't even name them all, but do take a look. Take a look at where the SIS graduates have gone to. It's amazing. And I think another skill, I think something that Steve mentioned that resonates as well. I think SIS students become the glue that piece different people, different understandings, different cultures together. Because this is something to do with how our projects are structured, actually. Unlike the business school projects or even some social science projects where you can PowerPoint it together. I saw a funny video on Facebook. If you all remember Power Rangers, how 5 different bots combine into one gigantic one. That's how some projects look like. 5 disparate pieces, stick them together, voila, show and tell for a while. And it works for that 10 minutes while you're on stage. But it won't work when all your parts are interconnected. It has to live in a system together. And that's what we do for 4 years. So when we are so used to it, and we go out there in industry, the moment I speak to people in IT and I speak to people in business, I straight away can tell this guy haven't thought through things properly. That person has no idea how to architecture this. He is missing some gaps in understanding. And because we work with so many different people, our people skills are also much more sharpened. So I know the best way to tell him that, look, I think we need to sit down and redraw this. Instead of saying, you stupid lah, you're missing things, we work it out for the better outcome. Right? So we become the glue, and that's how all of us start to get appreciated and start to do a lot more impactful projects as we move in our career.
And can this observation about people having to learn on their own, yet in the context of the organization and the network of other people in the organization, how important is that after people join you, either as fresh graduates or they've been with you for 5, 10, 15 years?
When the guys are talking about this, it kind of, get me to reflect on how I started in my career, or my school days and career, and how things have actually changed right now. My time in university, we were doing, lectures, rows and rows of benches that you just take notes, right? Tutorials, yes, you go in to get assignments and get it done. Even final years projects, research work is, assigned to individuals to get it done, kind of thing. When you get out to work, you assign projects and you just get on to do the build. I'm not sure for some of you parents here who work in the industry, like IT industry, or in manufacturing, you have like factory chains, right? You just have developers, or you just have workers that just, do their part in the value chain or in the factory chain. That has changed. Even in the bank, like DPS, right? We are starting to evolve and say, hey, stop, asking the business people, right, or the operation people to write up what they want out of an application, right, and spec out what they want, and then the IT people get to try to understand what they're talking about and translate to technology design and get it built. So those are really factory chain kind of approach. We have started, the last few years to adopt the concept of Agile development. I'm not sure whether you understand this term, but what it means is that you get the product people, you get the people in the business or operations or credit or finance to get IT, and you get them into an Agile cell. And they will, brainstorm, they will discuss what they want to build, they will prototype, and then they will progressively just get from the prototype to the eventual, product that can be used internally or externally, right? So the concept is, when in those Agile cell, is that there must not be too many people, and 2 pizzas can fit adequately for those people. If there are more people that, then the 2 pizzas can fit, then it's not Agile cell. So we have to actually start breaking down and say, forget about specifications, waterfall approach. I'm sounding very technical here, but we have actually shifted from that approach of, a software-driven life cycle from specifications to build to implementation to where it is becoming agile. And I mentioned earlier about the GAFA companies, right? That's how they do things. They don't, specify something and someone else go and build it. They actually come together in collaboration in a very small unit. They get it done. They could disintegrate the team. They could reassemble again in a different form, right? So those are very important way of, how companies are going to operate in the future. Because as more and more is being automated, there are less and less people needed on the factory chain. Okay, they're but more vital to actually get the right discipline, people together in an agile cell to work. It means collaboration is very important, factor. And I think that, if these guys have been doing that, that gets them more ready as they get into the industry.
So Andy used this expression, learn on the go, learn on the fly, and learning how to systematize the process of learning on the go, right? Because you guys do it at industrial scale. But SMU overall, and I have to say SIS in particular, really has hit that sweet spot in a powerful way. Any comments from you guys? You just finished your 4 years about the style of learning at SIS, that as you interact with your friends in other parts of SMU, or you interact with your friends at other universities in Singapore, or you talk to people in the outside world, what is it about the culture and style of learning that it's like, yeah, wow, this really works?
Okay, for myself, one thing I kind of like about how the modules are, the IS modules are like, is because they give us a lot of room to innovate. For a lot of projects, right, when you think about projects or schoolwork, you'll think that, oh, okay, this is the work that your professor or lecturer gives, just do it. Or this is the project that your lecturer wants you to do, just research on it. For us, it's a bit different. What we do is the professor will give you a team, kind of like a rough general team of some sort, and it's up to your team to go and discuss what kind of product, what kind of technology you want to use, what you want to create. So there's a lot of flexibility in that, and when it comes to this kind of flexibility, you can choose to do more, which is where the learn on the go actually comes. So some of the things that you want to do, like how to connect your sensors to the machine, maybe it's not taught in class, but you want to show it, you want to learn it, then you go and research on it, and that's how we actually learn on the go. Yeah.
Janelle, any comment on that?
Right. Yes, as like what he said, so a lot of things we do have to pick up ourselves if we want to do extra stuff. So where we learn it from? We learn from Google, we learn it from our seniors, we approach our profs, or we can just ask our friends. So because of our supportive community in SIS, your friends are willing to share with you knowledge on how to do certain things, or maybe they have taken the modules before, or they have past experience with certain techniques and technology that they can share with us as well. So that's what I really like about doing innovative stuff here as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we had an event last night. This is the 8th year we've done it. It's called the Apex Business IT Global Case Competition. Andy remembers it. I think you graduated 2009. 2009, May was the first time that we did it. We've done it for 8 years now. And a student, one of our SIS students who had participated in prior years, came back last night for the banquet, because we just had the finishing banquet last night. So I said, well, I'm going to talk to a whole bunch of students and their parents, and you've been out working for a year, right? So that's short enough where you still remember what you did in school, but long enough where you still have some period beyond school to say, hey, I'm in this new world. And I said, well, what is it? What's the thing? What is the thing from the SMU SIS program that you really carry forward? And just picking up on this same thing, we're always getting thrown into new things, and you have to learn on your own, but you have to learn it in the network of the people you're working with. And he said, we're just good at that. We're just really good at that, because that is so built into the way SIS is built around. So other parts of SMU emphasize that, oh, when you sit in class, you raise your hand, you speak out, you learn to participate. Well, we do that. We do that too in SIS, but that's not where the real action is. The real action is outside of class, that the thing that you have to do, because let me tell you the truth, the only learning is learning by doing. There is no other learning. If you're not doing, you're not learning. So yes, you need some lectures to orient you, right? But they're to orient you. For what? So you can go do. Now, do could mean write an essay. Do could mean solve a problem. Do could mean design and create something. But it's only when you do per a goal and then get feedback, right? And then sort of have the motivation to want to do that. That's what all happens. So we very explicitly designed the SIS experience for the out-of-class learning. And that's why what you're hearing is really what comes through so powerfully. All right, let's sort of take a break for a moment. Questions, comments. We're going to deputize you as SMU students right now, right? Both the potential applicants and the parents. So I sometimes tease students in these smaller sessions, you're human beings, you react to stuff. Anytime you hear things, you sort of have some kind of intellectual or emotional response. So I want to hear from some of you, right? You hear this. How does it make you feel? What do you think? Do you have some question? Now, I know you have some question, because if I go call on any individual one of you, every one of you have some kind of response to what you're sort of experiencing now, all right? But nobody wants to put their hand up. It's sort of embarrassing, so, okay? But I'll ask for a volunteer. Might there be a volunteer? Might there be a volunteer? No volunteer. Okay. Yeah, all right. You know what happens? Because I know this. When we break, then, I want to talk to this guy. Oh, I want to talk to the other people in the black shirts. And the real conversations happen when we break. I could have a little fun and go take the mic and sort of like the TV shows, go talk to the audience, but I don't sort of want to terrorize you at the moment. Okay. So I'll just, if anybody has a question, here's a time, okay? And if the real conversations will happen after we do the official thing and they're in a more intimate small group setting, which people are almost always more comfortable with. Final comments. Pen King, any observations? Here we are, a new generation of people trying to make a choice, trying to figure out how to go forward, right? You don't know all of them. You're sitting here on the stage. You haven't had a chance to meet them. But if they were to go through the 4 years of SMU and this sort of special and intensive experience of SIS, how do you think that will position them for the world going forward, no matter what they choose to go do after they graduate with a bachelor's?
Probably 3 points. First is embrace diversity, right? Yeah. Second is, cope with ambiguity. In my career, in my space, in the industries out there, there's a lot of grays, right? Cope with that. I think the last thing is while you're, going to embark on your, a span of 4 years, right? Yeah. Enjoy that opportunity to learn because it's valuable.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, most of the learning you're going to do in your life is after you get out of school. After you get out of school. But you build the process of how to do that, and you build the confidence of how to do that. And you build this confidence that they can throw whatever at me. I don't care what kind of situation I land in. I know how to start from scratch and work with my team and move forward. And I have to say, the SIS environment has been sort of phenomenal for giving people that experience space to be able to do that. Yeah. Andy, if you were to make parting words to these folks?
You guys didn't want to ask questions, so I'll ask a question. How many of you here, I mean, those who are starting school soon, how many of you know exactly what you want to do after you graduate? How many of you?
Nobody.
Nobody, right?
And if they raise their hand, they're probably lying anyway.
I was in your shoe once upon a time. You want to put your best bet now, right? Bet on a course that you think sounds cool enough. Minister says top 16 jobs in future, guaranteed I'm going to make some money, right? But you also want to find a course or find a school that gives you the chance to be yourself. I've got friends who just like being stable. They want to learn technology, apply in one way, and just keep being better and better at it. They got it in SMU. They got it in SIS. They become experts in analytics. They became experts in banking systems, and they're now running banking projects. Some, my friends are Merrill Lynch, what's the other one, ANZ, a few of my friends moving up, becoming deeper and deeper in technology. And then I've got friends who spent the first year learning about technology, second year took business mods and say, I want to start a business. And so I've got seniors and I've got friends in my batch who started a business somewhere between the second and third year. And now they're entrepreneurs, running companies, selling their companies off. I just recently met a third-year student currently in SIS. He has office now at Block 79, the incubation hub at Raja. His company got incubated by JFDI, one of the top accelerators in Asia. And he's still a third-year student. So I asked him, what are you doing? He's like, just had an idea in my head. And then I understand technology now after a few years. So why not try something? So he's now building his own Uber for events and brands, right? So event companies find it tough to get people to buy sponsorships. And some smaller brands want to market themselves but don't know how to, don't know where to put the money. His platform does that and match both sides. I think it's brilliant. And you don't get the knowledge of how business works and how technology can impact that. You don't get it better than at SIS, right? And for myself, I was an art student. I came here because of what he said. I bet it all on what Steve said about the change maker in future will be those who understood business and IT. And now I'm living that, and no regrets. But at the end of the day, it was still a bet. And that bet turned out to be not only about learning, it was about having a best time of my life with the people that I love hanging around with. Steve kept saying it's tough, right? Yeah, I stayed till 7 a.m., no sleep, work on the code, make sure it was running for 8:30 presentation. We were walking around, went to 7-Eleven just for a snack at middle of the night, seeing strange people around. It's all part of university life, It's no different from you being stuck in hall in NUS and NTU, except that over there they don't have the kind of life that we have here because we're in the middle of the city. We have the chance of going home if you stay in the east, all right? If you want to. So the diversity is here. The tough learning, it's here. But the fun times are here too. And as I said, you don't know what you're going to do now, come here and you will find out what really drives you as you go through the courses. And the options are here for you to start taking them before you even graduate. You want to be an entrepreneur halfway through, there is an incubation lab here, there's funding for you, there's free office space for you to take as you build your business. You want to be an expert in technology, there are specialization courses, second majors, there are all the labs you saw earlier, partnership with banks, partnership with Tata Consultancy, big companies investing to give you the step up before you even graduate. So opportunities are all here. And I think that's why I'm so proud to be in this school, to be from this school.
One final comment.
I think, like what he said, one keyword that I thought is good for you guys to know is the flexibility. Because a lot of my peers, even now, some of them, they may not know what they really want to do. Like when they first came in, it's like, oh, okay, I think IS is a good path to go, but I don't know what I want to do in future. Because IS is so big, you can do so many things from cybersecurity, coding, even the sales or business, So the thing is that they come in here, they can spend the first 2 years, just feeling their way around IS, knowing how IS can help business, how IS can create business value. And from there, right, then they can start to think, okay, so I've gone through a few modules, a few case studies, I know about a few industries that use IS, so which is the industry that I'm more interested in? Then they take up an internship, and then from the internship, they have another opportunity to learn, to see whether, okay, this is the path for them or not. If not, you have another chance next year to take another internship. And from there, you slowly discover yourself, discover what you really want to do in future. And then at the end of year 4, when you're applying for a job, you know exactly which area of industry and which kind of job you're actually looking for. So if you're still a bit blur about where you want to go, what you want to do, but you like IS, you like IT, then come here, I would say. Yeah.
All right. No, that's it. All right, let me just make one or two concluding comments, and then, as I say, the fun starts after we break in the informal conversation. But as I have talked to students over the many years, some of the observations that I have is, if we chose to admit you, what your prior studies were don't matter. So the issue is, oh, I had more of these courses or less of these courses, or my background is this or that. It doesn't matter. If we chose to admit you, we believe you can do well. And if we're a high motivation program. So it doesn't matter whether your prior course was this, that, or the other. It doesn't matter the particulars of the modules you studied before coming in. All we really require is that your heart and your spirit is in it, and you really try hard. If you try hard, the students will help you. If you try hard, the community will pull you through. Right? So we are a high commitment place. We don't shy away from saying that. And that's sort of what brings out the students. Some things that both our students and the other SMU students, our students in SIS, and the other SMU students around SMU tell me about the SIS students is they don't give up. They don't give up. They will find a way. Our own students have said to me over and over, we got thrown into situations we thought were impossible. We got put in situations we just did not see the way when we started. And we just sort of settled in, settled down, figured out what you do first, learn on the go, step by step. And we were able to do things that we never thought we were capable of doing. I tell you, if you leave university with one feeling, one belief in you, that whatever comes in front of you that you cannot predict, that we will find a way. We will not give up. We are resilient. We are persistent. Even when it doesn't work the first 5 times, we'll sort of regroup. We will find a way forward. Right? This is the spirit of the SIS students. It's why public sector, private sector, nonprofits, they love the SIS kids. They love them for the IS stuff. They love them for the non-IS stuff just because they're so good at working with teams of people, of saying, here we are, here's where we need to do, here's where we need to go, how do we move forward together? And I have to tell you, it's really special. It really is special. Let's end, and then informally we can chat. Thank you.